The next item on the agenda is Senate Bill 114. Senator Robertson, you're back up again. You want to take the podium? We'd be glad to get you on TV.
No, sir. I think they can catch me from here. I want to echo the minority leader's words. If the interested parties would have gotten down and sat down with each other and worked out these issues starting back in the last administration and the current administration, I think there's a serious possibility that we would not be here today and we would not be voting on this legislation. I'm afraid, my colleague who was not here several years ago that I wish would have been here, maybe he would have been able to get those interested parties to sit down and talk about that. And I'm a little disheartened when I hear that we may pass legislation that will encourage movements, encourage citizens to stand up for themselves, encourage those who feel they're being disenfranchised and ignored by local legislators to go out there and have to stand up for themselves and fight for whatever they believe is right. And I think whatever they believe is right has the DNA of their particular community as what they feel should be done by their elected officials. Too many times inside this building and especially outside this building, local communities, elected officials forget who they work for. So when movements happen that remind elected officials who the real bosses are, then I have to support that. But I do agree with the minority leader that these interested parties should have sat down and had these conversations. And when I asked about that 3 different times, I never got an affirmative action from the executive branch. And so, therefore, I would encourage the members of this committee to please support a do pass motion on SB 114.
That would be LC 472223 ERS. Madam Leader.
I'm further disappointed that a member that does not represent this district should not have interest in Buckhead, live someplace else totally different, would have so much interest in moving a city forward without having that hands-on interest. It was sometime in the past when someone tried to do something in my district that did not live in my district, and it was found that they could not make changes in a district that they did not represent. And so I'm obviously going to vote against this legislation.
Thank you, Madam Leader. Senator Estevez, you had a...
Yeah, I appreciate the Majority Whip's comments. I would respectfully submit that the people in my community have spoken when they elected me. That's exactly why I'm here. And when you look at the numbers in this proposed annexed area, you'll see that aside from U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, I was one of the top vote getters, more than Governor Kemp, more than Lieutenant Governor Duncan, more than any other Republican that was on the ballot on that during that election. So the people have spoken, which is why I'm here speaking to you and to my colleagues. What is happening today is that my constituents are being forced to eat a half-baked pie. We talk about the plans that have been in place and years of planning in the making, but it is clear that the proponents of this bill have no plan for the debt obligations that currently exist with the City of Atlanta. They have no plan for the 8,000 children that are in Atlanta public schools in the North Atlanta cluster, 5,000 of whom would be in limbo because this bill, according to our own attorneys, does not address Atlanta public schools. So the fact that we are forcing upon my constituents who duly elected me just a few months ago to represent their concerns is a problem and something that we should be concerned about, regardless of whether you represent Buckhead or if you represent anywhere else in the state. This should not be happening where the voices of a few are overshadowing the will of many. So with that, I encourage my colleagues to listen to our lawyers, both inside the Capitol and those who represent others outside the Capitol, that there are problems with this bill. There's a reason that it is 2223 ERS. It's an external document, language that was brought from outside the Capitol. There are problems inherent with this bill that we need to address before this moves forward, which is why I ask my colleagues respectfully to vote no, or nay.
Thank you, Senator Estevez. Said the Senate Bill 114 lies before us. Is there a motion on the bill? Move to pass. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please. Which?
From the second.
I'm sorry, it doesn't show up here. So just everybody knows. So if you need me, you get eye contact. So
I did.
I'm with you, Coach. I got you.
All right. Put me in the game.
There you go. You're up next.
Just a point of discussion on LC 472223 ERS. I know a lot of conversation has been had about City of Atlanta, where would it be on tax collections, the municipal option sales tax, and I know, Chairman, again, you're particularly familiar with the local option sales tax, and I've not heard anybody talk about engaging with Fulton County, because for any new city created, it would come from their portion of the lost. And I know that they have some significant interest, as I followed loss this past year, looking at what they were going to do and build with their revenue projections, which I'm sure they're going to have some revenue bonds on these lost revenues that they hope to collect to build infrastructure throughout Fulton County. And a new city would impact that, because the new city of Buckhead would have to come from a share of their loss for any new city created. Comes from the county's portion. And not only will the city of Atlanta be impacted, but will also impact Fulton County. And so I think we should have a hard look at all the people at the table who are going to have to foot the bill for this thing. And when we think about legislation and we think about a bill like this, as I have said in the Capitol many times, I'm not from Atlanta. I'm from Savannah. I'm down I-16. But coming down I-16, I represent 4 other municipalities. And if somebody had an issue in one of my largest cities, which is the city of Savannah, and they said, well, we're going to start a city, I wonder the implications of those who start the city and those who leave from the city, and where would that put them on tax collections and different things, and do we have to come back and fix a mess that we maybe didn't have to create? And so it's easy to look at this and say we're going to solve all of the problems, but I assure my colleagues, crime won't be solved tomorrow. The issues that have been raised about Buckhead won't be solved tomorrow. In fact, they're going to take some time, because when you start a new city, you're going to have to get it off the ground and get its sea legs and get it standing up. And what are you going to do in the meantime? So it's not going to just change overnight. So I urge you to vote no on this, and I will tell you this. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure, and I assure you of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. So, Senator Estevez, we need to make it quick. I've got another bill we got to get through.
I know you'll deal with this quickly. I'd like to make a motion to amend to allow all eligible voters in the city of Atlanta to vote on this referendum, given the nature of the financial impact that it would have on the entire city, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, which is quite honestly, we got a motion on the floor that this one doesn't. No, I'm not going to hear that motion. I'm sorry. I can't hear that motion. I've already got a motion and second on the floor. So we're going to vote on LC 2223 ERS. So all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 4 in favor, opposed, 3 opposed. So the motion carries. Thank you. I just followed some guy named Robert came up with some rules that we need to follow.